Welcome! Today we are talking One Love, the Bob Marley biopic. Hello and welcome. My name's Richard. I'm here with Ashley and Austin, part of Unnecessary Roughness Movie Reviews. Today we're covering the Bob Marley biopic, One Love. Alright, so before we went into this movie, I asked Ash and Austin, what are you guys going to rank this? We've been kind of looking forward to this movie. So, Ash, what did you say?
I said a 7.
Ash said a 7. Austin?
7.5.
7.5. I also had a 7.5. It's a biopic. We've seen these frequently. This one happened to pique our interests because of his more, I guess, would you say, like, more peaceful message that Bob Marley typically carries with him. Nothing to do with the fact that he partook in El Bowl a lot during that movie.
It was interesting to see how he grew up and saw what he had to face regarding his Jamaican heritage.
Mm-hmm. One Love is about Jamaican singer-songwriter Bob Marley how he overcame his adversity to become the most famous reggae musician in the world. That is the plot synopsis for this movie. It was directed by director Reynaldo Marcus Green, who is also known for directing King Richard, We Own This City, Top Boy, Monsters of Men. I'm not too familiar with this director, but I thought he did a solid job in this one. And the lead role of Bob Marley is played by Bensley Ben Adair, who you may have seen recently in the Barbie film as one of the Kens. Apparently Ziggy, Bob Marley's son, heavily influenced the casting and approved of Bensley Ben Adair to play his father. That is another reason I kind of like this movie. I did not know that going into this movie, and right before the movie started, it had Ziggy on the screen saying that he was there to make sure that his father's story was told authentically. And I love that. That, immediately was a highlight for me.
Even showed him, backstage helping to direct the film and how really he wanted his father really portrayed. Because anybody else could have did this film and just completely went left field with it. But the fact that his own son, by the way, looks a lot like Bob Marley, helped with the direction of this film. I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, Hollywood's always trying to spruce things up, but it's nice to know that they actually asked one of the people who was there during that time in his son, and, they were able to have that intimate knowledge of his father. And I think Bensley did do a solid job playing Bob Marley. You could really feel that he believed in the message that he was portraying on screen, and I like that. But I gotta give a shout out to Lashana Lynch, who played Rita, his wife. She is also, you may have recently seen her as Maria Rambeau in the Marvel series. She was a standout to me. There was many scenes where I felt like she kind of stole the show. And I just want to say I really enjoyed her performance in this one. Alright, so I'm going to put my pre-rankings of what we thought the movie was going to be on the screen here. We had it from 1 being, I am never going to watch that movie again. Even if it came out on DVD, I would not even rent it. I would not watch it. If someone bought it and brought it here, I would not watch it again. That's 1. 10 is, I can watch this anytime, any day. I'm never going to get tired of watching it. So that's our rating system. Again, Ash started with a 7, Austin 7.5, and me 7.5. So we all went in thinking that this was going to be good, but not excellent. What made you guys, Ash, what made you go with the 7?
Because, again, like I said, Hollywood could have went left field with this movie, but it was way better than I expected it to be. So I thought it was going to be a 7, kind of like how they did that. They just did the Elvis movie and the Marilyn Monroes of the past. But I went in with a solid 7, not thinking Ziggy Marley was going to show up the first couple of seconds in the movie. And then the fact that they went in and explained, because there's a big myth about how Bob Marley died. They all said it was because of a broken toe. The fact that they actually went in depth and showed that because his broken toe wasn't healing, it was leading to bigger issues. And then he finally did go to, because you gotta remember, Rastafarians don't really go to the doctor. But for him to go to the doctor was a big thing for a Jamaican to do back in those times. So I'm kind of glad he went and saw a doctor and they found out what it really was, which was sad to say. He died early, too early for his lifetime, I believe.
He was only 36.
Only 30. He had so much left to accomplish, but the fact that he, did a concert in the middle of a war between Jamaica and Great Britain to unite those two countries and make peace was something spectacular, in my opinion.
And Austin, you had a 7.5. What was your expectations going into this one?
Well, rating it from 7.5. My biggest thing was seeing how Bob Marley enticed so much peace with the world, and listening to his lyrics really compels the individual on how to see real peace.
Okay. And I also went in with a 7.5. I do not know much about Bob Marley, just from what I've heard and what he stands for. I really was, I guess, more so ignorant going into this film about everything. So everything I saw on screen, except for like the playing of his music, was like new to me. So I went in fresh. Really admirable person who just showed that in this world of chaos and vengeance and violence, that there are other ways and there are better ways to get who you are out there without causing chaos or evil in the world. That was really good for me. So with that being said, those are our pre-rankings. Ash, what did you leave this movie thinking?
I mean, I came in with a 7. I left this movie with a solid 8.5, because Bob Marley said it best. Sometimes music can cure what other things can't. And I think his music not only brought world peace, but just cured a lot of pain and heartache that people were feeling. So I'm going to leave that with an 8.5.
8.5, okay. And Austin?
I gave it an 8, mostly because I felt like the movie was really straightforward, but at the same time it was really compelling of what Bob Marley went through, not just him, but his entire family, what they had to go through. Not only with Jamaica and Great Britain, but even the Civil War with Jamaica themselves, and then seeing what caused Bob Marley to, pass away, and what he had to go through with being gunned down. It was quite the experience to see what he actually had to go through.
Yeah, he really went through, like, I had heard, like, in the past that there was, like, a shooting around him, but I didn't know that it was, like, in his home, and he, like, multiple people got shot and survived. Spoiler alert if you don't know, but yeah, that was pretty insane. So it finished at an 8 for you?
Yes.
What do you think could have made it, like, a little bit better?
If it was more, if it was slowed down just a tad bit and told more in depth to the story, but even it being straightforward was still good enough. But I like detail to detail when it comes down to the movies, when that has to do with famous celebrities who have passed away. So very straightforward, but still an emotional and great movie.
Yeah, and that was the thing for me too. My final rating was a 7.5, and my pre-rating was 7.5. So I really didn't budge much there. The beginning, I went up to an 8. Right after I saw Ziggy Marley on screen, I'm like, okay, this is an 8 for sure. And then towards the middle, it got a little slow for me, but it did also, like you said, it did also feel like it was kind of sped up. And this biopic, normally the classic, like, skeleton for biopics is like early age, upbringing, rise to fame, and then like the top of the mountain, so to speak, there. And this one kind of did it a little differently. This one, we started off more so at his age, like right before he became famous, but it sprinkled in flashbacks throughout the movie, which I thought was kind of an interesting way to do a biopic rather than just follow that typical skeleton. So that was kind of cool. But the middle part for me, it just kind of, it was more serious, so I guess maybe that's why it drug on a little bit. But to me, that was my only issue. I thought Bensley did an amazing job. I thought Lashana Lynch did incredible. She was the highlight for me. And I just, listening to Bob Marley's music, like on screen, you can just hear it, like the crispness, and it felt cool to be part.
It's different once you see like his movie rather than just hear him on the radio. It hits different when you see and hear it in theaters.
Yep.
I also felt like they could have pushed a little bit more like merch regarding his movie. Like they could have sold like One Love popcorn buckets or even Bob Marley cups. That's what my opinion. But you really don't see Bob Marley merch.
But you see, because like even like it seemed like he was more so against the money aspect and just more so of the message. So I wonder if it's that, or they're just like really, we're just kind of releasing this just to get the message out. So those are our final reviews. Ash, what's your final takeaway with this movie?
Like, we all grew up with, like, Bob Marley music, but if you want to know why, when, how he wrote his songs, I think that you should go watch the movie, because after you see how the songs were written, when that time frame, what he was going through, you can better appreciate his music and what sacrifices he had to make to put his music out there for us, his fans, to appreciate. So that was my takeaway. My message is peace, man. Peace on earth.
Yep, peace on earth.
One love.
One love. Austin, what is your final takeaway from this movie, One Love?
Well, I would say definitely worth watching. The story was quite compelling. His music never disappoints, and listening to his music really does bring peace in your soul, and with everyone in the room who listens to it at the same time. It really just adds a relaxation to the environment, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, definitely worth watching.
Definitely worth watching. And my final takeaway, I thought it was a good movie. I think if you are a fan of Bob Marley, even if you're not a fan of Bob Marley, I think you'll enjoy this movie. It's a biopic. We all enjoy going to watch the struggle of the underdog musician who came from nowhere and just exceeded everyone's expectations and turned something so meteoric into a positive spin. And I am always endorsing that positive kind of spin. That's why I liked Wonka. He was more so of a kid that just kept getting bad luck over and over, but he always had positive spin. But I digress. So if you're looking for one of those like good, uplifting kind of movies with some action, some comedy, a little bit of romance in there too, I think this is a good movie. I will say, one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit now that I'm remembering it, it was a little hard for me to understand through the thick, heavy Jamaican accent, but was that a thing for you guys too?
Yeah, yes and no. I could understand every other word, and I would have to piece sentences together.
Yeah.
But I understood it for the most part.
And other than that, I think it's a great movie. I think if you want to go watch it, there's a lot of weed smoking in that movie. So if you do not endorse weed smoking, you should 100% not go see this movie, because it is literally in every single scene. I'm pretty sure, no, maybe a couple of scenes that it doesn't have, but that's because they're inside locations. But anyways, that's the review for the movie One Love, out now. Go watch it.